Right, thank you for the nice introduction. Thanks for being here. Good morning, everybody, to my session today. And I will directly jumpstart into the topic with a question which we hear here all the day when it comes to our IDS NXT system and to artificial intelligence. So the question is artificial intelligence still a playground? Or do we have really industrial cases? Or can we really solve industrial issues with artificial intelligence? Take a second and answer the question for the moment for yourself. The first point which comes into my mind when I think about this topic is that in my personal life, I use AI all the day. So it works on the media library, on my phone. When I'm out on a hike and I see a plant there, I just take a picture and let AI decide what kind of plant I see there. So my personal life is just around AI, and I didn't even recognize it because it works and it is there. For sure, we also all know some professional use cases, especially in the area of agriculture. You see that there is harvesting, check if apples are ready for harvesting, if there is a good plant or a bad plant. So there are a lot of examples where AI is working in different applications in different markets. But there's still always the question, is it really feasible to solve our industrial cases with artificial intelligence? And why this is? Because there are a lot of critical views on artificial intelligence. First of all, is completely outside of the topic of AI. Rule-based machine vision is well established in our markets. We know the tools, we trust the tools. We have a lot of documentation for the tools. There are trainings available. And so we trust and believe that rule-based machine vision can solve our issues. And when it comes to AI, it's always the question, oh, does this really work? As I told before, I know it works from classifying my pictures on my phone, knowing where a pizza is, but can I really solve industrial cases with it? And when you come to the point that, okay, I will give it a try, there is then still, again, the topic, where shall I start? How shall I start? Which technologies, which skills are needed? And at least what kind of application I should start that I really get a good start with AI. If you find the application and you get the feeling, okay, there's the point, I will do my first steps with artificial intelligence, then often a decider comes around the corner and says, okay, this is the issue you told me you would like to start, but to be honest, there is no code. There is no statistics I can directly see. How can I trust that AI is doing the right decisions? Because, not for me, but for me as a decider, I would say, it's still a kind of black box and a kind of magic, and I will not trust it. Please do it on a classical way. So we see in different areas we have a lot of critical views on the topic of AI still. When it comes to industrial cases, we have a lot of open questions. And I will take you now to the path of how we at IDS will overcome these issues, what we have currently in our portfolio, and what comes up in the near future to close this critical view and the open questions. So first, let's state that hardware is not the issue for working with AI. So there are a lot of resources available, GPU-based training systems. We know server farms from the Azure cloud, the Amazon web services, which give you enough calculation power to train neural networks. For example, we at IDS, we offer IDS NXT Lighthouse, which is a cloud-based training system, which gives you the necessary resources to directly train a neural network without the high invest in hardware. So you can really buy a license on a monthly fee, and then you can directly jumpstart in training your first neural networks. On the other hand, we have also an edge device for it, which directly let run the neural network on the camera. Maybe when it's a little bit not that loud, you can hear it shaking in the background. This is a demo. Have later on a look there. Our IDS NXT cameras are equipped with a neural network accelerator directly based on FPGA development. So also here, we have the hardware available to run neural networks. And for our solution, we can proudly say that it is developed by IDS. So also here we have the long-term availability because it's in our hand. The next steps, we don't belong to an official available chip. It's our development, FPGA-based development. The camera can not only do neural networks, we can also talk OPC UA to connect together with PLCs or the REST protocol, which is widely used in the IIoT environment. So let's state, hardware is not the issue to start with artificial intelligence. And it isn't software neither. We have a lot of software available in the internet. There's a lot of support in your first steps into AI. And I would state here the IDS Next Cloud Lighthouse platform, because you do not need specific AI knowledge to train your first neural networks. So all you need is the knowledge in your applications, in your application fields, and what do you need are images. That's all you need to start training your first neural network. You upload the images to IDS NXT Lighthouse, you label them directly in the system, and with the click on a button, you can start and train your first neural networks, which can then directly provide it to our IDS NXT camera and let them run. So the longest part, which it takes, I would say, is to label the images, and then training takes some time, but not that much. But I would say if you have the images on hand, in the half a day, you could start with your first AI example and test if AI is working for your system without any AI skills in this. So software is neither the issue for the use of artificial intelligence. What we learned the last years or months as we are going on with the topic of AI is the way to a neural network is an issue. Because there's still, even if you use platforms and check the available source code on the net, you're confronted with questions: what kind of neural network is needed? Do I need detection, classification? Which kind of images are needed? And how do I know that I get the best out of it? So the way to a neural network, I would say it is an issue. And what is one of the major topics is trust in AI. We had a panel discussion last week on the IDS Vision channel where we talked with 3 companies which are working a long time in the area of artificial intelligence, and they stated all together The technology is there, as I told you, but it's always the topic of trust when we come to companies and we would like to establish our solution there. So how can I trust and believe the AI application? And that's now the point where I would like to present you a bunch of new features which are still available or coming up the next weeks, that the start with AI gets even easier and that you can gain trust to the deciders that AI can solve your issue. So let's start with the topic of trust. So there's your decider, and he said, okay, I saw that you can solve this Apple application, but does it really work in a critical field of automotive stuff or any other things? And from now on, with the next release of IDS NXT, you can say, yes, and I can show it to you. We introduce into the training directly Heatmaps. With Heatmaps, the AI shows you what are the features the neural network is looking on. So you can really tell your decider, look, the gear is completely right. It looks on the teeth around the gears, and that's a clear rule, a clear identification of gears. I show you a second example where you clearly can identify a bias in this state. So the cat works fine. Eye, nose, and ears are typical cat features, but when you have a look on the banana, you see that the neural network is majorly looking on the Chiquita button. So every item which you bring to the neural network with a Chiquita button on it would be detected as a banana. So also Heatmaps in this case supports you that you can enhance and improve your neural networks, your images you have, your labeling. Another part, we all love numbers and statistics. With the next release, we also introduce the so-called confusion matrix. This is a statistical tool which helps you to validate the results of a CNN. You let your AI run against a set of well-known images, so you know what the AI is looking on. And then you get a statistical matrix where it's shown, okay, the AI says it's now a gear, but the real image is a nut. And you can really see that those kind of topics, for example, are pretty seldom. And then you can see, okay, on the distinguish of the features between gears and nuts, I have to work, I have to improve. Or on the other hand, you can clearly show that there is never an issue when coming forks and gears together, because this works perfectly fine. So now here with the confusion matrix, we have statistical data to show the base of the neural network decision. So when you overcome now those topics and you say, okay, there is now trust, let's start with the topic and begin. The next point is, okay, but what are the costs of it and how long does it take? So let's start pretty short with the costs, because that's quite easy. With our IDS NXT solution, we offer on the one hand, so-called creative kit where directly can jumpstart with AI. There is camera included. There is a license for IDS NXT Lighthouse included, and it costs below 1,000 euros. So there's really a low-cost jumpstart to get the first projects started with AI. And when you use our training platform, IDS NXT Lighthouse, you do not have to invest a lot in hardware, because you pay it on a monthly fee. You can decide from today to tomorrow, okay, I don't need it anymore. and there are no additional costs. For sure, when you first start with AI, there will not be the point that you will stop it. But it would be possible, and it makes decisions easier. So costs are checkmarked. The next point is we support you with kind of wizards. So even when you start your project, you do not even know, did I need object detection or classification? In the future, we offer directly wizards where you can say, okay, I will start, I have to count something. And then our IDS Next Lighthouse brings you the right architecture below, brings the right networks up, and helps you to label the images and train the neural networks. So really, even with this update, you need less information in AI than before. Yeah, thanks. And last but not least, we will introduce Blockly programming with the next release, so you can really build up your applications. To build an app for IDS NXT, you do not need any specific programming language or skills. We support you with Blockly so that you easily can build up the vision apps, and you get directly generated apps out of the IDS NXT Lighthouse, and you can upload it to the camera. So, last but not least, if you even struggle with this, we offer a marketplace for machine vision, especially at the moment, AI solutions. So, if you say, okay, that's everything, that's nothing for me, but I would like to start with AI, have a look there and check what is online. Okay, I have to hurry a bit because of time. Let's come back to the initial question, is AI still a playground? From IDS point of view, we would say no, because as shown, we have all the tools available to really run valid industrial applications. On the other side, I have also to say yes, because with AI is a kind of playground where you can start and bring in your complete creativity. So think out of the box and start with AI. Try to solve your projects with artificial intelligence, because it enables a bit the child into you and let you play around, and you can solve issues you weren't aware before. If you have questions, join our booth just right beside there. Come after the talks and have a close look to the IDS NXT demo. Thanks.